Now I'm going to tell you something that only professional historians know about. Learn about 7 forgotten Native American tricks for sleeping without a bed. This information will definitely shock you. We spend a third of our lives sleeping, surrounding ourselves with orthopedic mattresses and memory foam pillows. We believe that comfort is a product of modern technology. But what if I told you that everything you believed about healthy sleep is not true? Native Americans slept without beds for thousands of years, but their sleep was deep and restorative. They did not fight nature, but used its laws to create ideal conditions for rest. Their secrets are not just an alternative to beds, but a whole philosophy forgotten by our civilization. Watch this video to the end, and you'll learn how a bundle of pine branches can be warmer than a down comforter, and why sleeping on the ground was considered not an inconvenience, but a source of strength. What I am about to show you completely breaks the stereotypes about the life of the Indians of the Great Plains and forests. When we think of sleeping without a bed, we imagine lying on the ground. However, some tribes, especially in warm and humid forest regions, found an ingenious solution. They raised themselves above the ground. We are talking about the hammock, an invention that is more commonly associated with the tropics, but was also known to some North American peoples. It was not just a net for resting, but a full-fledged sleeping place. It solved several problems at once. It protected from damp soil, insects, and snakes. Strong plant fibers were used as material for hammocks. The bark of certain trees, such as linden or the inner part of cedar bark, was soaked and separated into thin but strong strips. These strips were woven into a durable fabric. The weaving technique was perfected. Knots and interweaving distributed body weight evenly, creating a surprisingly comfortable and supportive surface. Such a hammock did not sag like a bag, but followed the contours of the body. The hammocks were attached between 2 trees using ropes made from the same plant fibers or rawhide. The height of the suspension was adjusted depending on the conditions. It was a lightweight, mobile, and incredibly effective bed. Unlike lying on the ground, sleeping in a hammock provided excellent ventilation, which was a lifesaver on the stuffy summer nights. The gentle rocking motion helped you fall asleep quickly and sleep deeply. It was a real cradle for adults. This way of sleeping did not require leveling the ground or preparing a bedding. Finding 2 suitable trees was much easier than finding a flat and dry spot in a dense forest. It saved time and energy. A hammock was a personal item that could be easily rolled up and carried away. It weighed little and did not take up much space in the luggage. This made it ideal for mobile groups of hunters or warriors. This example shows how diverse and inventive the solutions of indigenous peoples were. They were not tied to a single template, but adapted their way of life to the specific conditions of their environment. The suspended structure was the perfect answer to the challenges of the humid forest climate. It is interesting to see how this topic is perceived in different parts of the world. Where are you from? What do you think is more comfortable for sleeping while camping? A hammock or a traditional tent on the ground? Write about it in the comments. Want to know the secret that kept generations warm in the icy prairies? For the tribes of the Great Plains, such as the Lakota and Cheyenne, the bison was the main source of life. It provided food, clothing, and material for shelter. And of course, it provided them with a bed, warm, soft, and luxurious by the standards of the time. The floor served as the basis for the sleeping area in a teepee, which was never just bare earth. It was carefully leveled and often covered with a layer of dry grass or moss for additional insulation. An untanned bison hide was laid on top of this bedding, fur side down. This untanned hide, or rabbit, served as a kind of mattress. It was dense and impervious to moisture coming from the ground. It created a barrier that blocked out the cold and dampness. The most important element was the bison robe, a beautifully tanned skin with thick fur preserved. This skin was laid on top of the mattress with the fur facing up. It was this thick, soft fur that served as the sleeping surface. The secret of the warmth of the bison hide lay in its structure. The thick undercoat trapped a huge amount of air, creating a powerful insulating layer. This layer prevented body heat from escaping into the ground and cold from penetrating to the sleeper. The family would lie on these beds in a circle along the walls of the teepee, with their feet toward the central hearth. The heat from the fire reflected off the sloping walls of the dwelling and warmed the sleepers. This created a comfortable microclimate even in the harshest winters. The bison robe was a versatile item. At night it served as a bed, and during the day it could be used as a warm cape or cloak. During migrations it turned into a comfortable seat. Caring for such beds was simple. They were regularly taken out into the sun to air and dusted. With proper care, one bison robe could last for many years. Pillows were often used for extra comfort. They were stuffed with soft grass, down, or bison wool. This allowed for a more natural sleeping position. This method of sleeping was ideally suited to the nomadic lifestyle and harsh climate of the Great Plains. It used the most accessible and effective resource available: bison. But what did the peoples who lived in dense forests, where there were no bison or open spaces, do? Ready to see what a bedroom built right into the walls of their homes looked like? You've definitely never heard of this unique secret. Unlike the conical teepees of the plains, the peoples of the northeastern forests, such as the Iroquois, built huge stationary dwellings, longhouses. The very architecture of these houses required a completely different approach to the organization of sleeping quarters. A longhouse was a long, rectangular structure with a log frame covered with bark. Inside, along both long walls, there was a continuous structure resembling two-tiered bunks. These were the sleeping places for all the inhabitants of the house. The lower tier was a wide platform located about half a meter above the earthen floor. This height was not accidental. It raised the sleepers above the cold and damp floor, protecting them from drafts. Individual families were placed on these platforms. Each family's space was separated from its neighbors by mats or skins. This created a sense of personal, albeit not completely isolated space. The platforms themselves were covered with a thick layer of bark. Then woven mats made of reeds or corn leaves were laid on top. Soft skins of forest animals, deer, bear, or beaver, were placed on top. This created a multi-layered, warm, and springy bed. The upper tier, located above the sleeping platforms, was used for storage. Utensils, food supplies, firewood, and personal belongings were stored there. This vertical zoning allowed for the most efficient use of space inside the house. The space under the lower bunks was not left empty either. It was used to store items that needed to be close at hand or as a shelter for dogs. It was a well-thought-out system for organizing daily life. Such built-in furniture was part of the very structure of the house. It did not require the separate manufacture of beds and was incredibly durable. It was a collective but very convenient solution for a large community. In winter, this system provided an additional advantage. The central passageway with hearths heated the entire house, and the heat rose, warming those sleeping on the platforms. It was an energy-efficient solution, ideal for cold climates. Thus, the Iroquois did not create separate furniture for sleeping, but integrated sleeping places into the very architecture of their dwellings. It was an example of a collective approach to comfort, where the house and the bed were one. What if I told you that the desert itself could be the perfect heated bed? The peoples who lived in the arid regions of the Southwest faced another problem: extreme temperature swings. During the day, the heat was exhausting, and at night, the temperature could drop to near freezing. Their solution was ingenious in its simplicity. They used the ability of sand to accumulate and slowly release heat. The ground itself, specially prepared in advance, became their bed. During the day, while the sun was at its zenith, they chose a place for their future night's rest. They dug a shallow pit in the dry sand, shaped in size to fit a human body. Over the course of several hours, the sun heated the sand at the bottom of the pit. Sometimes hot stones were used to enhance the effect. Flat stones were heated in a nearby fire and then placed at the bottom of the pit. The stones were covered with a layer of hot sand. Before going to sleep, the pit was covered with dry grass or animal skins. The person would lie down in this depression. The heat accumulated by the sand and stones slowly rose, warming the sleeper below throughout the cold night. Such a bed was not only warm, but also very comfortable. The sand took the shape of the body, providing excellent support for the back. It was like sleeping on a modern orthopedic mattress. On top, a person covered themselves with a wool blanket or skin. The result was an ideal system. heating from below and insulation from above. This allowed them to maintain a comfortable body temperature even during the severe nighttime cold. This method did not require any complex devices or materials. All that was needed was the sun, sand, and a little effort. It was an example of perfect adaptation to the harsh conditions of the desert. In the morning, such a bed was easy to take apart. It was simply buried, leaving no trace of its presence. This was important for peoples who valued secrecy and mobility. But how did they protect themselves from the cold in places where there was neither warm sand nor bison skins? In the next chapter, you will learn about the ingenious solution of forest peoples, which is available to any tourist today. For many forest and subarctic peoples, such as the Cree or the Athabascans, the main task during the night was to insulate themselves from the cold and frozen ground. The ground, especially in winter, draws heat from the body at an enormous rate. The solution to this problem was a multi-layered bed made of coniferous branches. This method required knowledge of nature and certain skills. First, a sleeping area was prepared. Snow and stones were removed to create a flat surface. Then they started making a springy base. For this, they used thicker and more elastic branches, such as pine branches. They laid them in a dense layer, creating a base that prevented the bed from settling. The next layer was the main insulation. For this, they took a large number of spruce or fir branches, fluffy branches with soft needles. They were laid in a very dense layer, like tiles, with the stems facing in one direction. The secret of this mattress was the huge amount of air trapped between the needles and twigs. It was this immovable air that was the main heat insulator. The thickness of such a layer could reach 30-40 centimeters. On top of this thick layer, another softer layer was laid. It was made from the very tips of fir branches, where the needles are most delicate. This created a comfortable and soft surface for sleeping. A deer skin was laid on top of the finished bed of fir branches, with the fur facing up. A person would lie down on the skin and cover themselves with a second skin or blanket. The result was a warm and protected capsule on all sides. Such a bed was not only incredibly warm, but also very fragrant. The essential oils contained in the needles filled the air with the scent of the forest, which was calming and promoted sound sleep. In addition, this scent repelled some insects. In the morning, such a bed could be easily dismantled. The branches were scattered, leaving no visible traces of the camp. It was a quick, effective, and environmentally friendly way to ensure a comfortable night's sleep. This method is still used by hunters and survival experts around the world. It proves that nature has already created the best materials for protection from the cold. You just need to know how to use them correctly. Ready for the shocking truth about how you can sleep warm while surrounded by walls of snow? For the peoples of the far north, winter was the main challenge, and they learned to use what was in abundance, snow, to create warm and reliable shelters, such as igloos or quinsy. The secret to warmth in a snow house lies in the proper organization of the interior space. The most important rule was to never sleep on the floor. Cold air is always heavier than warm air, and it accumulates at the lowest point of the room. Therefore, a raised sleeping platform was always built inside a snow dwelling. It was made of compacted snow. This platform was located above the entrance level, which prevented cold air from entering the sleeping area. A thick insulating layer was laid on this snow platform. First came branches, mats, or even old pieces of skins. Their task was to create a barrier between the body and the cold snow. Thick, warm skins, such as caribou or muskox, were placed on top of this layer. The wool of these animals is ideally suited for extreme cold. It created a soft and warm surface for sleeping. The family slept together, huddled close to each other. This allowed them to retain additional warmth. People covered themselves with another layer of fur blankets. A small oil lamp, burning all night, provided not only light but also a little heat. This heat, combined with the warmth of human bodies, was enough to raise the temperature inside the dwelling to comfortable levels. Sometimes the temperature difference between inside and outside could reach 20-30 degrees. The walls made of compacted snow are themselves an excellent heat insulator. They protected against the piercing wind and prevented heat from escaping. This created a cozy and safe capsule in the middle of the icy desert. This method of sleeping was the pinnacle of adaptation to extreme conditions. It used the laws of physics and the properties of snow. It proved that even in the most inhospitable places on the planet, Comfort can be created if you understand how nature works. We learned about permanent and temporary solutions. But what about portable furniture for sleeping and resting that could be taken along on a hike? The nomadic lifestyle of the Plains tribes required all household items to be lightweight, multifunctional, and portable. One of the most ingenious such items was the Willow backrest bed. It was a true example of Native American design and engineering. This device was a kind of mat made of many parallel willow rods. The rods were connected to each other with sinew threads. The structure was strong but very flexible. During the day, this willow backrest served as a comfortable chair without legs. It was set up in a teepee, leaning on a special tripod made of poles. Sitting on soft bison skins and leaning on this elastic backrest, one could comfortably do household chores or receive guests. At night, this item was transformed into a bed base. It was placed on the ground on a prepared mattress. It created a flat surface slightly raised above the ground. Thanks to its design, the willow backrest provided good ventilation. Air could circulate freely under the sleeping person. This was especially valuable on hot summer nights, saving them from stuffiness. This design was also useful in winter. It created an additional air layer between the sleeping skins and the cold ground. This enhanced the thermal insulation effect of the entire bed. The willow rods were smooth and elastic. They sprang slightly under the weight of the body, creating additional comfort. It was a simple but effective shock absorption system. Making such a backrest was painstaking work. It was necessary to collect straight willow rods, strip them of their bark, and carefully join them together. Such items were highly valued and often passed down from generation to generation. This willow backrest bed is a striking example of multifunctionality. The same item served as both seating furniture and a bed. It was the perfect solution for people who had to fit their entire lives into a single portable dwelling. For modern people, sleeping on the ground seems like a necessary measure associated with a lack of comfort. However, for many indigenous peoples, it was a conscious choice, part of their worldview. Contact with the ground during sleep had a deep physical and symbolic meaning. The earth was perceived not as a dead surface, but as a living organism, a source of strength and energy. Sleeping on the ground was a way to reconnect with this energy, to recharge from it. It was not just physical rest, but a process of harmonization with the surrounding world. It was believed that the earth took away the fatigue and negative emotions that had accumulated during the day. It cleansed not only the body, but also the spirit. Therefore, waking up after sleeping on the ground was often accompanied by a feeling of lightness and renewal. From a physical point of view, sleeping on a firm but elastic surface, such as a prepared earth bed, is beneficial for the spine. It forces the body to assume a natural position without the bending that soft mattresses create. This contributed to the formation of correct posture in the absence of back pain. Constant contact with natural surfaces developed the body. Muscles and joints work differently than in people who constantly use furniture. This made the body stronger, more flexible, and better adapted to the natural environment. The absence of beds also influenced the social structure. In teepees or longhouses, people slept closer to each other. This strengthened family and community ties and created a sense of unity and security. The modern concept of earthing, which refers to the benefits of direct contact between the body and the earth, echoes these ancient beliefs in many ways. Native Americans intuitively understood what scientists are trying to prove today. Their lifestyle provided constant contact with the Earth's electromagnetic field. Thus, sleeping on the ground was not a deprivation, but an advantage. It was an integral part of a healthy and harmonious lifestyle. It was a daily ritual that connected man with nature. The effectiveness of Native American methods of sleeping without beds is explained not by magic, but by simple laws of physics. Indigenous peoples, without knowing scientific terms, mastered the principles of heat transfer in practice. Their sleeping systems were ingenious engineering solutions. The main enemy of sleeping in cold weather is thermal conductivity. The ground, especially when wet, is an excellent conductor and quickly sucks heat from the body. Therefore, the main task was to create a barrier between the body and the ground. All of the methods described, bison robes, spruce branches, raised bunks, worked on the same principle. They created a thick layer of still air. It is air, not the material itself, that is the best heat insulator. Thick bison fur, thousands of needles on fir branches, the air gap under the bunks, all these are traps for air. The more still air there is in the insulating layer, the slower the body heat escapes. This is the same principle used in modern down jackets and double-glazed windows. Another important principle is protection from convection. Convection is the transfer of heat by moving air, i.e., drafts. Raised platforms in longhouses and snow igloos lifted sleepers above the layer of cold air that always moves along the floor. The walls of the teepee or snow house also protected against the wind, preventing heat loss due to convection. The conical shape of the teepee created natural draft, carrying smoke upward, but keeping warm air in the living area. It was a well-designed ventilation system. The warm sandbed method used the principle of thermal radiation. Heated sand and stones radiated infrared heat, which warmed the body from below. A skin or blanket on top reflected the body's heat back, preventing it from escaping. Thus, Native American sleeping huts were not just a set of traditions. They were highly efficient systems based on a deep understanding of the laws of physics. They proved that high technology is not always necessary to create comfort. Observation and ingenuity are enough. The sleeping habits of Native Americans were not static. They changed flexibly depending on the season. The ability to adapt one's sleeping place to current weather conditions was the key to survival and comfort. In winter, the main task was to maximize thermal insulation. The thickness of the spruce branch bedding was increased. The warmest and thickest skins were used. In winter, an additional canopy of skins was stretched along the inner perimeter of the teepee. It created an air gap with the wall, which significantly reduced heat loss. Sleeping places were located closer to the fire. In summer, the tasks were quite the opposite. It was necessary to protect against the heat and ensure good ventilation. Sleeping places were arranged to make the most of the coolness. In hot weather, the edges of the teepee cover were often raised to allow air to circulate freely. Willow backrests created a raised, ventilated surface. Sometimes people preferred to sleep outside, under the open sky. Instead of warm bison skins, light tan skins without fur or woven mats were used in summer. They provided comfort, but did not overheat the body. Pillows were stuffed with cool, dry grass. In forested regions, special summer dwellings could be built in the summer. Light huts covered with bark or mats. They were well ventilated and protected from the sun and rain. The sleeping places in them were simple and light. In desert regions, people sought shade from rocks during the day or built light shelters. At night, when the heat subsided, open spaces became the most comfortable place to sleep. The cool night air was a salvation from the daytime heat. This seasonal flexibility demonstrates the deep connection of indigenous peoples with the rhythms of nature. They did not try to create an artificial climate, as we do with air conditioning and heating. They harmoniously integrated their lives into natural cycles. Their home and their bed were living systems that changed along with the world around them. It was not just survival, but the art of living in harmony with nature. We have looked at just 7 of the many forgotten secrets of sleep preserved by Native American culture. These methods are not just exotic techniques from the past. They are a holistic system based on a deep understanding of nature, physics, and the human body. They show that comfort is not always about softness and warmth, but rather balance and harmony with the environment. A bison robe, spruce branches, or a hanging hammock were ideal solutions for their time and place. They provided not only physical rest, but also a sense of security and unity with the world. Perhaps this ancient knowledge holds the answers to our modern sleep problems. Maybe sometimes it is useful for all of us to remember that the best bed is the one created by nature itself. We plan to continue exploring the amazing life and wisdom of the indigenous peoples of America. Perhaps you are interested in their food, clothing, or social structure? Write in the comments what you would like to learn about in future issues, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our new research.